I'm Nick Palmachano.
Matt Finiwa, Samurai Da.
And this is the Bad News Network. The story of the week is Bob Woodward's new book entitled Rage, which basically carries the thesis that all of the president's policies are reactions to how people treat him or how he expects to be treated. The book is derived from 18 interviews that Woodward held with the president, in addition to a host of other interviews that he held with senior staff. Rage comes out September 15th and is full of huge criticisms of the president. The largest criticism comes from the juxtaposition of the fact that the president was warned on March 19th that COVID-19 would be the biggest challenge of his presidential term, with the way that he reacted and passed on information to the general public. The president responded to Woodward's questioning about the situation with, "I always wanted to play it down, and I still want to play it down because it prevents panic." Another criticism in the book is that the president stated that he doesn't feel a responsibility to try to understand the anger and frustration of the black population. According to Woodward, the president actually feels slighted, saying that he has done more for the black population in America than any other president and isn't getting the respect he is due. Another revelation from the book is that President Trump does not like President Obama and has gone out of his way to reverse any policy from the Obama administration. Yet another contention is that the president's aides don't like him. Specifically mentioned in the book were Mattis and Tillerson. Another aide, Dan Coates, the president's first director of national intelligence, believes that Putin has something over the president, though he admits that he heavily investigated this issue and found nothing. The book concludes with Woodward's assertion that the president is simply the wrong man for the job. As a result of Rage has emerged at both the president and Woodward. The president for all of the usual reasons, and Woodward because his critics say he should have released these interviews earlier and not held out for the book. For Woodward's part, he felt like he needed time to fact-check the president's assertions. So what do we at BNN think of this bombshell book that everyone's talking about? In terms of information, this really isn't much of a bombshell. We were privy, in real time, to announcements across the globe that COVID was a major problem. And instead of following precautions, we instead decided to fight over toilet paper. Did the president provide proper guidance in those first few months? Probably not, but this isn't news. It's newish in that he shows a lack of empathy for people of color, but this guy isn't exactly well known for his empathy. Wait, he doesn't like Obama. No This guy has talked openly about his disdain for President Obama since 2008, and he was one of the original birthers. That isn't new. Mattis and Tillerson didn't like him? With respect, I'm getting a little tired of guys that are in these big power seats, say nothing in the moment, and then secretly talk to reporters years later. If these guys thought that the president was a threat to the republic, then why didn't they resign en masse and go to Congress and the American people with their information? Because it wasn't in their best interests, and now they're sitting on fat jobs making bank. The book is damning, sure. But it's just as damning as if I wrote a book that says the sky's blue, water's wet, and women have secrets. And the first person that names the movie that comes from in the comments section gets a free shirt. In short, none of this is a surprise. As to why Woodward waited, this is going to be the biggest book of the last few years thanks to timing and content. Woodward is a respected journalist, so it's going to carry more gravitas than the book from Mary Trump, which kind of plays as an internal family squabble. It's also going to hold more water than the book from piece of Michael Cohen, who was literally employed to be the piece of that cleans up all of the dirt from Trump's life. It also feels like Cohen and Mary are hurt by President Trump's lack of loyalty to them, so that dilutes their books further. Woodward held out for money. There's nothing wrong with that, but let's not pretend it was anything else. I'm actually pretty happy that this is the story of the week. We've had some really crappy weeks lately, and this is a nice nothing burger. Delicious.
In police news, Salt Lake City police shot a 13-year-old boy with autism this week. That's not good. Police officers were dispatched to the scene after a call from the woman that was watching him. Apparently the kid occasionally had outbursts caused by separation anxiety from his mother, who just recently started going back to work. The officers were heard yelling, "Get on the ground," before several shots were heard. The boy is now in the hospital suffering from injuries to his shoulder, ankle, intestines, and bladder. The Salt Lake City Police Department said that the boy made threats to the officers. After further investigation, it seems that no weapons were found at the home on the boy, and it also seems that the boy weighed just over 100 pounds. When questioned about the incident, the Salt Lake City Police Chief had this to say.
Osama bin Laden's niece, Noor bin Laden, has publicly endorsed President Trump for re-election. Noor has changed her last name from bin Laden with an E to bin Laden with an I so as not to be connected to her uncle. Very inconspicuous. That is some f***ing spycraft, Noor. Hashtag spycraft. Her final three options were apparently Noor Smith, Noor Jones, or Noor bin Laden with an I. No one can argue that she nailed it with this one, nor that anyone will suspect. Noor has been quoted as saying that Trump could prevent a second 9/11 if he's reelected in November. Noor claims that she's had very little to do with Osama's brother's side of the family, her father's side of the family, and that she currently lives in Switzerland. But that's neither here nor there. In response to bin Laden with an I's endorsement, the president was quoted as saying, "Please stop helping."
A man forged his own death certificate this week in New York. The forgery came after the man Robert Berger, middle name Cheese, was wanted for vehicle theft. The district attorney quickly realized that the death certificate was fake when they realized that the word registry was misspelled. Looks like we had a regular Hercule Poirot on the job. Berger's attorney is the one who submitted the paperwork and claimed he had committed suicide, which is concerning because he passed the bar. Berger, while very much alive, pleaded not guilty on Tuesday. Ah yes, because every innocent person who is not guilty fakes their own death to avoid the law. If I'm being honest, I'm sort of disappointed in this guy. Everyone knows the best way to fake your own death is to drive really fast at a brick wall and jump out at the last second before impact. Then sprinkle some death around the car, for dental record's sake, and then light the car on fire. Works like a charm every time.
So the West is on fire again. In one magnificent, smooth-brained move, a gender reveal party has left 21,000 people homeless in California. The original plan was to ignite a smoke bomb with colored smoke and yay, everyone's happy. What actually happened was they ignited the smoke bomb and the 4-foot-tall grass all around it and then it's a boy. But this is nothing new. Gender reveal parties are notorious for creating death and destruction. Here's a look at some of the most famous gender reveal parties over the years. The Titanic, boy. The Hindenburg, girl. The Exxon Valdez, also a girl. Hiroshima and Nagasaki, twin boys. For future reference, in the woke age, here are some safe, environmentally friendly ideas for gender reveal parties. A text to your loved ones. No party at all. Hey, here's my son or daughter on Facebook. You don't have to burn down California. Also, and this is going to be hard for some of you to believe, no one cares. Also, Oregon is experiencing wildfires because of downed power lines. This pushes up our apocalypse schedule by at least 1 month, and we expect to see zombies very soon.
British actress Dame Diana Rigg passed away this week at age 82. She is most recently known for her work as the dope matriarch of Game of Thrones, Olenna Tyrell. She was previously best known for her breakthrough role as Emma Peel in The Avengers, a femme fatale action series that ran through the entirety of the 60s. She was also the first Bond girl to marry 007. Excellent choice, Mr. Bond. She worked tirelessly from the 1950s all the way until her death, and took part in 282 TV series, 30 TV specials, 27 TV movies, 13 TV miniseries, 21 feature films, and won a Tony Award for her portrayal of Medea. Fair winds, Dame.
A panel of 3 federal judges in New York has struck down President Trump's directive not to count illegal aliens in the census. The census is the basis for the number of representatives that each state is awarded, and removing illegal aliens from those numbers would reduce the representative numbers in several states. I'm going to take a drink before delivering this final line. California in particular was concerned because it would reduce the number of representatives from their current 53 to 7.
Beirut is back in the news. A massive fire raged in the port where the explosion took place over a month ago. So far, there are no reports of anyone being injured. The fire allegedly took place in the port's duty-free handling zone. The warehouse also apparently housed massive amounts of humanitarian aid. While still unclear on how the blaze started, it is reported that it possibly kicked off amid piles of oil, tires, torches, and books of cliches. The fire has further fueled civil unrest and discontent with the political leaders. The blast last month set off public complaints about how the country is being run, and after this fire, it has continued to heat up tensions. Citizens are demanding answers, but so far, officials have said that they have not been able to determine the Beirut of the problem.
Citigroup Incorporated announced that Jane Fraser will replace Michael Corbett as CEO in 2021, making her the first woman to lead a major bank. Even more shockingly, she preferred Cheers to Fraser. Misogyny quickly reared its ugly head as men and women alike took to the comment section to question whether a woman was truly capable of handling leadership in a multinational evil corporation bent on conquest with absolutely no desire to benefit humanity. Fraser quickly assured the press, "I pledge to you, here and now, that I will be an even bigger piece of than my male counterparts. I will buy politicians. I will lobby for policy that greatly favors large corporations while squeezing out the little guy. And in the case of another world banking collapse, I will force the government to bail us out because we are too big to fail. Except unlike my male counterparts, I will not pay it back. Bank life!"
This week, a bill passed the California State Legislature and Senate, lowering the criminality of anal and oral penetration of a minor by an adult. This bill is being supported by the LGBTQ community, saying that it discriminates against gay sexual relationships. Lawmakers explain that they are only simply leveling the conditions of being labeled a sex offender. Previously, only those two conditions deemed it necessary to label that person a sex offender, whereas vaginal penetration of a minor was up to the judge's discretion. The discrepancy stems from the thought that if the rapist became a father by vaginal penetration, then labeling him a sex offender would thereby make it harder for him to get a job and then make it harder for him to care for the child. So in the interest of fairness, lawmakers in California have seen fit to downgrade anal and oral penetration of a minor to judge's discretion. Crazy alternative plan. How about it's just not okay to kids, whether oral, anal, or vaginal? Nothing at all. How about that? Or, alternatively, make it legal, but also make it a misdemeanor to beat these people to death with their own arms. Stop kids.
Today marks the anniversary of September 11th. As always, we'd like to pay homage to the lives that were lost in the towers, in the Pentagon, and in the planes overhead that day. Remember always that those attacks were to diminish and eventually remove the beacon of light that is America from the world. The United States, for all her faults, has for many generations provided hope for the future. That hope has inspired many nations to change. It's inspired many people to immigrate here for their piece of the American life, and in doing so, granting us greater strength. And it's inspired those of us that were born here to always try to do better and make the world a better place. There isn't a person that was alive that day that doesn't remember where they were or how they felt when the towers fell. But let's also remember that this war is now older than many of the people fighting it, and that our treatment of each other in person, on social media, and in politics has done more to snuff out that beacon in recent history than any terrorist ever could. Remember the fallen, but more importantly, take care of your fellow Americans. All of them.
300 campers were trapped in a California forest fire this week, and the California Fire Department told them that they couldn't get them and they should swim to the center of the lake and just wait it out. Upon hearing this brilliant plan, the National Guard said, "Nah, that's a no from me, dog," and flew in there no viz, pulled out 373 campers and 16 dogs in overloaded Chinooks and got them out of there. That's a hell of a 1/60th SOAR application. We just want to take a moment and say happy birthday to Zacharias Benderius, who has worked with us for many, many years and has enjoyed many, many great occasions with us and has great calves and huge athletic ability.
And finally, in Florida Man news, David Dunaway was arrested for assaulting a woman and stealing her mail in his underwear. A woman was arriving home from work when she came upon David in his tighty-whities, rifling through her mail and stealing it. David was deemed criminally insane after shooting a truck driver in 1992. This, of course, begs the question, what the f*** was he doing out? The woman yelled at David to stop stealing her mail and to put some pants on. David felt like this was an outrageous request. He responded by flailing his arms and yelling at her incoherently. He then rushed towards the woman who was still in her car and tried to beat her with her own mail. The woman drove away down the street only to be pursued by the skivvy-clad post-pilferer. She then drew a handgun and told David she wasn't about to stamp for this lunacy and he better leave post-haste. Later, when police arrested David, he said he felt like he wasn't through and he felt like he was only partially defeated. And with that, I'm Nick Palmisano.
And I'm Matt Finney.
And this is the Bad News Network. Our news is at least as bad as the news you're getting already. And check out our OnlyFans, Nick and Matt. And also, you can always get 25% off at rangerup.com when you use the code BNN. Have a great weekend.